This is a presentation of the Sports Source Digital Network, presented by Hearthside Bank.
Welcome into the Sports Source Digital Network. John Pennington joined by Sterling Henton right here. How are you, sir?
Hey, John P.
Yeah, wanted to talk about quarterback situation with a quarterback. And Joey Aguilar coming in from UCLA. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about also Merklinger and McIntyre and what's their headspace right now that you're bringing somebody else in.
Yeah.
But we'll start with the Aguilar situation, and the big question is this. Here's a guy who, they're in the quarters out at UCLA. They don't even finish until early June. Yeah. So he's got a number of weeks, period. No matter when he starts here, I'm sure he's got a playbook in hand or they've sent him an iPad or whatever you do now. Uh-huh. But he's only going to have a matter of weeks to, A, pick up the offense, and B, get on the same page with his linemen and his receivers.
Absolutely.
What's the tougher ask right there?
Well, when I played, I would say the playbook, because offenses were way more complicated than that already. I mean, that thick with but another thicker options that you had to know that went with that.
That was the Walt Harris offense.
Coach Harris, and in those days, and I guess everyone's offense was that complicated. Yeah. Now, it's trying to find matchups. So when you're trying to find matchups, what's very important with a quarterback and his offense is continuity. You must be on the same page. You must be able to read your receivers. You must be able to anticipate routes. You must be able to read the coverage. And then you got to get the continuity with your center, because now everything is in shotgun. So you got to be able to get that velocity of that ball and know when to lean back, know how to catch it and do all that. And sounds simple, but, in a couple of months you can get it. But having to have it done and mastered in a couple of months, ready to execute for camp, that could be challenging.
Especially in a tempo offense like this.
Oh,
if they get it back to, now last year it wasn't the tempo you saw in 2022.
Right.
If they ever get it back to that speed, and I wonder if you can, because it'd be one thing if you still had Cooper Mays in here, who's run it forever, and you were just bringing a new quarterback in to work with him. They've got to get on the same page, but one of them has done this before. Right now you've got guys competing for that center position, so you're going to have a new center, you bring in a new quarterback, they haven't worked together, and you're trying to get that tempo up and running. That seems like that's a difficult ask.
Well, it's difficult, but the blessing that the centers have, that they had a great center to watch to learn how to do it. See, and that's what I think is happening right now at University of Tennessee. We've got guys that are setting examples for those after them so they can follow and have that learning curve shortened.
For those people that don't like it when we have rain clouds on our show, this is why you are known as Sunshine Sterling. There you go. It's the positive and everything, baby. So in terms of leadership, that's another thing. Quarterback's supposed to be the team leader, and if not the team leader, at least the leader of that offense.
Yes.
Okay, that's built with trust and communication and built over time. It can be done. I don't want to make I'm not trying to be rain cloud myself here. It can be done, but it's a challenge.
Absolutely.
Here's a guy who's coming in that doesn't know these people, and he's going to be dropped in after spring. How vocal, how long, it depends on the player, but how long does it take to feel comfortable as the quarterback to tell a bunch of guys you don't know that they're doing something wrong and they need to get on your page? It needs to be what you're doing. How long does it take before you're comfortable enough to do that?
It takes when you learn the offense. So you got to learn everything before you can tell somebody what to do. You got to know what the wrong is before you can tell somebody they're wrong.
All right,
and that's going to be a challenge. But one thing about the players nowadays, what I like, is that the talent level a lot of times speaks for who is the leader on offense or defense. So if he's able to come in here and display a level of talent and execution, people will follow execution. People follow excellence. And that's one thing the quarterbacks we have now will have to jump on the new guy coming in. And with the guys we have right now, they're not shabby. They're very good quarterbacks. And what I like about our offense, and I've said this numerous times, and especially in the past couple of weeks, we've got a guy who can dial it up on our offense. The hype can dial some things up. And those guys were not, scrubs coming out of high school. Yeah. And so they've got some years in offense. And I think the best thing we're going to be able to see this year out of our offense is experience from the different receiver and tight end positions that, maybe won't have any bust routes. And, I tell you, precise timing on a and you know what your receiver going to do. Yeah. You got a very good opportunity to have a successful play.
It's one of those, you've got Syracuse to open with, and Syracuse has lost a lot. They're losing guys in the portal right now, just like Tennessee lost a quarterback. Tennessee's after a couple of their guys, as a matter of fact.
Hey.
So you're opening
had a good season last year.
But yes, that's the thing. You're still opening against a coach who got them to nine wins last year. Yeah. You're opening against a proven coach. You're opening against a program. You're not doing ETSU first. You got them second. Then you got Georgia early in the season. It's going to be. I think September is going to be tougher than people think, just because. Look, you've got new guys on the offensive line. You got new guys at receiver. You got a new guy in the backfield. I mean, they've been around, but they weren't the workhorse. Right. You lost Dylan Sampson, who was the workhorse beast last year. So those guys are all going to be getting on the same page in the month of September. And now you throw a new quarterback into it. I just think it only makes sense that this team may be one that starts a little slow, but gets better as everyone starts to figure each other out and get a little bit more experience together. You would hope that most teams do that. They don't all do it, but this one, the way that everything's being thrown together at last minute, I have a feeling September could be rough, but if you're looking at October and November starting to get a little better, I'd rather end on a good – they remember what you do in November.
Hey, forget October, forget September. They remember what you do in November. But what I like most about it, John P., is you're right. They've got experience together, but they don't have game experience together. So they get the game experience together. But, what I like about the first few games, no one knows how good they really are. It's just all prognosticators saying someone is this, that, and the third. There's always somebody coming out of the blue that you realize, we didn't know about this happening with that, and this team came together and produced something special.
And it works both ways now.
It works both ways. It does.
You expect things that doesn't show up, and there are times you don't expect things, and they do, and you're pleasantly surprised.
Bang, bang. But right now, we're the underdog in a lot of situations now because Nico was the focal point of our football program for the entire year last year, even though Dylan had an incredible season he had. Yeah. Everything was all on Nico as far as the media is concerned, so the masses. I talked to a guy in California, they had no idea the yardage that Dylan got last year. They had no idea about that. And so he did what he did. It
was crazy. Yeah, touchdowns. Bananas. It's a record-setting year.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but now what I like, we got opportunities to surprise a lot of people and and I got faith in Joey and Hype to dial it up, baby.
Let me ask you this. There's debate over this. I think I know what your answer is going to be. I bet you don't like the word rebuild. Do you like the word rebuild? Are you good with it? Because here's the thing.
It doesn't bother me.
I looked at it, and we after the Ohio State game, we all made our predictions for this year. I said 8-4. You said 55-0.
Yeah, 100-0.
They'll schedule a bunch of extra games. But when you look at it, and I just mentioned it, 4 starters on the line, your top 3 receivers, replace Dylan Sampson. Now you throw a quarterback in there. We've had some people, I've been saying the last couple of days, it's a rebuilding year. Programs have that. Unless you're Georgia, you have the rebuilding years. And I think that's what this is. I think it's just when you lose that, when the cycle spins and you lose all those starters at once, there's no way around it. Do you agree this is a rebuilding year or no?
The term rebuilding doesn't bother me, but my thing, is sometimes you're going to surprise a lot of people when people don't know what you got. Yeah. I mean, they said the same thing in '98. Yeah. Said the same thing in '89. They said everything. I've heard the word rebuilding because people don't know what we have. Yeah. And, those seasons speak for themselves. And I like it. So I'm always thinking like that, and my thing is, and I've said this a million times, I played John P. against Hall of Famers, All-Americans, guys that are consensus way better than me at this game. They weren't better than me that day. Right. So I just got to be better than you one day.
That's right, yeah.
And shoot, let's go.
Nobody saw the 2022 season coming. You go from 7-6 to 11, and nobody saw that coming. So it is possible. Again, sunshine Sterling, always the bright side. Now let me ask you this one. You've been through a quarterback battle. Yeah. You came to UT, and Jeff Francis got hurt. You came in, lit it up, looked dynamite, and then that was an age where you don't lose your job to injury. They said. They said in that day.
That's what they said in that day.
Fast forward a couple years, and teams 5-0 heading to Alabama with you as starting quarterback. Yes. You open the year, you go to UCLA. You beat a top 10 UCLA team out there 24-6 on your birthday. You scored a touchdown. Yes, but you guys go to Alabama. Halftime, you're trailing. You're benched.
I'm benched in the first quarter.
first quarter, and then it's Andy Kelly. You guys lose the game, get whipped pretty good, and then Kelly comes back and runs the table the rest of the way. That was the only loss on the year. You were 4-0, 5-0 as a starter.
Yeah.
He was, 4-0, 5-0, and then that one game. So I guess you got the loss for that one quarter.
I got the loss, but you know what's funny about that?
But
I didn't play 11. I only played 11 plays, so I don't get to start.
Yeah.
It doesn't go down as a start.
Well, so here's the deal. You've been through it. And there are a lot of people that would have, in this day and age, and maybe if you'd have had a transfer portal then, you might have said, hey, what's going on at Syracuse?
Yeah.
So that's a different day now.
Different day.
But you were the good teammate. You could have blown up a locker room and done all other stuff. You were a good teammate. You put up with you and Andy worked well together. You guys are still friends. Mm-hmm. He supported you when you were there. You supported him, etc. But you've been through that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's say you're Jake Merklinger. Not so much George McIntyre because he's got to put on weight. He's young. He wasn't expected to play this year. Mm-hmm. Merklinger was supposed to be the backup to Nico. Okay. So Nico leaves. If I'm Merklinger, there's a part of it's like, my time. And now you've gone and gotten somebody else that is, I'm going to have to beat this guy now. Now, no one has said that, but I'm going to assume this kid getting paid $1 million, $1.2 million, whatever he's making, most people expect Joey Aguilar is going to be your starter. He jumped Nico on the Heisman odds already. Pretty funny how that works. But if you're Merklinger, are you sitting there thinking, oh, what about me? I was ready to wait my turn behind Nico, but I don't want to wait behind somebody else. Or are you sitting there saying, I'm a competitor, let's throw it out there on the field, just give me a shot. Where are you on this? Where do you think, put yourself and what you know about quarterbacks and tell me what you think those guys would be thinking, Merklinger in particular.
If I was Merklinger, first of all, I would be hurt if they expect to start him, but I'd be pissed to the point where I'll be razor sharp coming into camp, brother. Razor sharp. He better be all they say he is. He better be, because if he's not, he's gonna watch me do my thing.
Right.
Now, also you have to put it in context because we do have a young guy behind Merklinger. Merklinger's probably thinking, well, we got to have some depth at quarterback.
True.
Because something can happen to him. I remember when I played and was blessed to be able to say we wanted to make sure we was 3 deep at each position, and we were.
Had to be, specifically, I remember the running back position in '89. You had to be there,
Come on.
You got a guy in Tony Thompson who.
And then next year,
Nobody knew his name going into the season. Then he winds up leading the SEC.
He forgetting '88. He also led the team in rushing when Cobb got hurt and Keith Davis got hurt. So and then when Chuck got hurt, he led the SEC in rushing. And I think to date, the only running back that led the SEC in rushing and did not get drafted.
That's amazing.
What's going on with that?
Although his whole offensive line got drafted for the most part, but still.
At that part.
That was a third guy, though, 2 years in a row. I forgot he was the number 3 guy.
And then you got little man, Aaron Hayden, and Charlie G.
Well, and you go back to '94 when you had Jerry Colquitt, who goes down in the 7th play against UCLA. All roads lead to UCLA right now.
There it is.
Whether it's your games, Colquitt, where Nico went. But Colquitt goes down. You got Todd Helton, who comes in and does well until he says, I got a pro baseball career to worry about. Then they throw in the guys who weren't supposed. We keep saying McIntyre's not ready, Merklinger's not ready. I keep hearing that. These guys aren't ready. Were Manning and Stewart ready? Were Ainge and Schaefer ready? On paper, no.
Right,
then you throw them out there, you may find out they are ready.
Keep it going.
So,
was Heath Schuler ready as a true freshman?
Yeah. So,
Running up Heisman right there. People forget how good Heath Schuler really was. I think he needs to get more attention to what he did for this university.
Yeah.
He was a beast out there, man.
So you need that kind of depth, and maybe these guys can provide it. So you would be looking at it, if they come in and just put that guy in front of you, you'd be ticked. But you'd also be ready to beat him out.
We gonna battle,
Okay.
and like I want to just digress. So you spoke about me and Andy, and I battled my junior year, and I won. When I came back my senior year, I was even better than I was my junior year. I was way better. At that time, I went through 2 practices with no incompletion. That's never happened in the history of Tennessee football before. But I was ready.
Yeah.
I was ready, and Andy got better. Then when I got into games, it was who they gonna play, Sterling or Andy. Then I get hurt Alabama again. What am I doing? I mean, we made sure that room was so tight. And right behind us was Steve Matthews, who played in the NFL 5 years. So then he comes and it's the quarterback room is like you know, we're different in the sense to where we're like, I guess, the kicker room, if you will. We're different. We go to practice early. We go to meetings early. We meet after practice. We're doing more things, and we're together more. So you become that unity from the position happens. Just who represents that quarterback room on the field is really what you know. You want to make sure that person is ready to lead the team to victory.
I went into this season. I didn't have this is what they did is actually what I had hoped they would do. I didn't want them to. Okay, we lost Nico or chose to get whoever story you want to follow.
Right.
You split with Nico, so now we're going to go out and throw more money than we were willing to give him on some stranger who we've never had in our coach, and we've never coached before. I didn't believe in that. I thought that was they tried it, didn't get him. A lot of people said no because nobody wants to leave. It wasn't because they don't like Tennessee. It's because nobody's leaving their school in April. It's just hard. Timing worked against you. But I like the fact they went and they just got another guy who doesn't look like he's head and shoulders above, in my mind, Merklinger, McIntyre. To me, this is a three-man competition is the way I would look at it.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how they will look at it. Obviously, the old adage, if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have one. You want one guy to come in and take the thing. But I don't have a problem, Sterling, to be honest with you. It wouldn't surprise me if this season, it wouldn't be good for Tennessee, I don't guess, because if you're rotating guys, it means something didn't work. But it wouldn't surprise me if this isn't one of those things where you get to the end of the year and it's the starter is a guy who didn't start at the first of the year. I would not be shocked by that because I don't know enough about Joey Aguilar. I don't know enough about Jake Merklinger. I don't know enough about George McIntyre. So where you are in November, to me, my guess is it might not be where you are in September. Because right now everybody thinks that Aguilar's – I mean, I'm seeing people saying that Aguilar is better than Nico. And who knows? He may be. But UCLA looked at him and said, we'd rather have Nico. Okay, I got to factor that in. Maybe UCLA is a bunch of idiots, but I've got to factor that in, that they said, it's April, we've seen him, let's go get Nico. So I think they're all going to compete is my guess. Would that be a terrible thing if they go through the fire of this year, and let's say you get 7-8 wins, it's not a championship year, I know you want 12.
Absolutely.
But let's say 7 or 8 wins, and by the end of this, you figured out who your quarterback is. Guys are starting to play well. Lance Hurd's starting to look like the guy you gave big money to. David Sanders is starting to show, oh, that's why he was a 5-star. Mike Matthews, oh, did you see those plays he's starting to make at the end of the year? I don't look at that as a bad year. But there are a lot of fans who would be angry at that. Well, I look at that as growth. In a lot of ways, it looks like 94 to me, if that's what it turns out to be. That worked out okay for Tennessee in the long run.
Yes, sir. And my thing is, the thing about this offense, with the hopefully the pace that we're executing at, you know, a lot of people are going to play anyway. A lot of people are going to play. I don't see nothing wrong with changing the quarterback of different packages because of the way this offense is set up. I think our defense, which needs to be understood, I don't think many people are going to score 30 on our defense.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So our offense is set up to score 40. If we fail to score 31, we should win the game, in my opinion. So with all the things that's going on with our the system we have in place right now, with the athletes we already have here, I mean, we got dogs. Cats can't eat with dogs. We got dogs right now, so I know we're going to be in every game. So and the quarterback position, with all the attention it's getting, which it always gets, there's no scrubs we have already. So I'm like knowing the fact we have 3 people that are definitely not scrubs, okay?
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. We've got an offensive coordinator and the head coach is going to dial that thing up. And so each game is going to tell a different story.
Yeah.
I just like the fact that we got a chance to win every last one of them, in my opinion. I really do believe that.
Sterl the Pearl.
Yes, sir.
Sunshine Sterling. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you.
I will bring you back down here again, and we'll see you next time. If you like this kind of content, if you like Sterl the Pearl here, then click the like button. That always does us a favor, does a solid for us, lets other Tennessee people know that you like this kind of content, lets them know that we're here. Also, subscribe to the channel. So many of you are right now, which I appreciate. Go ahead and subscribe, and that'll let you know when we've got something that we're posting here on the channel. We'll see you next time on the Sports Source Digital Network.